these 49ers give me Jared Goff Rams uh,
Ooh,
vibes.
ooh, that's a good
Because
feeling.
let me explain. Let me explain.
I'm paying attention.
You know, they have the offensive mind in Kyle Shanahan, like Sean McVay. I think they're just missing that quarterback, man. And now they took a different approach than the Rams. The Rams went out and got their guy. They got Stafford, and look at that offense. Like it's it looks like that's the best it's going to get.
Hmm.
So you know they're taking a different approach. They went with Trey Lance. We'll see if they're able to develop him. But I think Shanahan's just missing a quarterback, and Jimmy's not that guy like Kevin was talking about. Jimmy's just he's not going to lead the league in touchdowns and passing yardage. Um, but something that the Niners have always done well is run the ball well, no matter who's back there.
Hmm.
And 11 attempts this game isn't going to cut it, like Kevin said. So
It's just with them, they just deal with so many injuries. I mean, Raheem Mostert's out for I
yeah,
think the rest of the season,
Yeah.
and
He
they
opted
need
into having
to
surgery.
check that medical staff is what they need to do.
because dude, none of their guys could stay healthy.
It doesn't make
And
sense.
Trey obviously adds more of an athletic dynamic to that 49ers offense. And I do think that in the future, I think that's probably something that they probably want to go to because they could be a very fast tempo offense. I'm not saying that Trey Lance is going to be like Deshaun Watson as far as like his athletic ability goes, but like Trey Lance kind of gives me a very similar vibe to what Deshaun was kind of like when he was coming into his own in Houston. And, granted, we have to see, who's going to be the starting quarterback moving forward for the 49ers. I think at this point, though, you've seen Jimmy in this system so far, and he hasn't really produced for you that well outside of the 1 year that they went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Chiefs. But that was a year where everybody was healthy and they
Right.
ran the ball extremely well.
And
Well,
that defense was scary.
The defense
exactly.
was
It was
good.
a
That's
very
their
it was a
identity.
very well-rounded team, but I think I'm kind of leaning towards AJ here. I think that they need to start possibly looking at trying to get Trey some more plays just because I don't think Jimmy's going to be the guy moving forward. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think if the 49ers hear some sort of trade offers for Jimmy this year, I think they're seriously going to consider listening to them. I don't know if they're actually going to pull the trigger on them, but unless I see something from Jimmy moving forward for the rest of the season, I think as a coaching staff, you have to kind of start considering it's like, is he going to be the guy? I think at this point, I just don't think that Jimmy has the consistency that 49ers coaching staff wants. And maybe they give Trey some looks moving forward. If this team really starts taking a dive, and I mean, they go on like a 2, 3, 4 game skid in the next couple of weeks or so, I mean, calls for Trey are going to be growing in San Francisco. So I can't rule that out. It's just that, this 49ers team, you're in probably the most competitive division in the entire league. You know, you got to deal with Seattle, and Seattle's always an issue. Granted, Russell's dealing with that finger injury, but the Rams and the Cardinals are clearly head and shoulders above you. And I think you got to make a change just because I think this team needs a spark. And maybe Trey's the guy that you need to start considering over Jimmy, just because I don't think Jimmy's really that big of a difference maker.
Yeah. I mean, if we're on the topic, this will just be quick, just to kind of round this out. If we're on the topic of quarterback change, I've been saying this since the Super Bowl run. Jimmy, to me, has never seemed like the guy. Missing that throw to Emmanuel Sanders told me enough about Jimmy in a clean pocket in the most important game with everything on the line. Complete separation. That is to me, high school / freshman year level pass in football. I mean, you have no pressure, clean pocket, step right into it, whoop, and just let it go. Wasn't able to kind of hold the pressure. He wasn't necessarily able to make the big throws and big moments. But I can't sit here and say that the 49ers front office has not been making efforts to get a trade going for somebody. When Tom was in the market, they tried. When Aaron was rumored this offseason to be on the market, they tried. They drafted Trey Lance, and they've shocked Jimmy before in terms of trying to listen to offers. I mean, for God's sakes, they even tried to think about the Deshaun Watson move before the trade deadline happened. So it's not that they're not looking, they're just not ready to pull the trigger because each of those involve money for Tom, capital for Aaron and a lot of fucking capital for Deshaun Watson. They were asking for 4 or 5 picks plus players, if not more players. So I didn't think that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch were willing to make those big moves because they felt that Jimmy could be at least a bridge until they were able to draft somebody, in which they did get Trey Lance. But I can't sit here and fault the front office for lack of effort because they have extended themselves to at least inquire about people on the market and people that could potentially be available. So they stuck with Jimmy. They've realized that the experiment has probably more than likely failed after this season. I believe his contract should be up not this year, but next year after they gave him the extension. So, I mean, again, as we say in a lot of these instances in our segments, only time will tell because they're stuck right now. The trade deadline's passed. Trey's hurt for a couple more weeks, and San Francisco looks like they're out of the playoff hunt with how competitive the NFC is in general. So I think that this is a wash season for them realistically outside of getting some people some big reps.